Everything we do is going to be about winning. Okay, we're going to learn to do things the right way, and that's the only way we're going to do them. Because if it doesn't help us, we're not doing it, man. That's just as simple as it gets. Win the Super Bowl.
That's
I
good.
mean it too. You know, one of the things that the only reason you become a head coach in this league, in my opinion, is to win. That's it. That's the bottom line. If you do it for any other reason, you're wrong.
Hey, Washington football fans, welcome back. Today, we're going to go ahead and dive back into part 3 of my series of our defense versus their offense. Starting out at week 4 versus the Atlanta Falcons. But first, if I can I ask you guys to go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below, so you can come back and catch every part as I release them. I'm also going to move on to a segment where we do our offense versus their defense shortly. So subscribe down below to make sure you catch all that when it comes out. But here we go. So week 4 against Atlanta. At this point, I think we're looking at a 2-1 schedule. I could see us possibly losing to Buffalo there. And if we do lose to Buffalo, I think it's going to be a rough day for Atlanta. But either way, let's go ahead and talk about Atlanta's offensive line here, as we have been. So, Matt Hennessy at center. He's serviceable at best. He had a horrible PFF grade of 47 last season. 8.90 RES score coming out. I mean, at the best, he's serviceable at times, but coming off last season, he was just bad. I don't think he's going to be able to deal with our interior pressure. Beside him, though, they have Chris Lindstrom. And this guy's a former first rounder. He really took a step up last season and had a 77.1 RAS. He was a PFF grade, but then he was a 9.85 RAS. He really found his groove last season, and he was top 10 at the position. So he's going to give us some problems. And then they also have Jake Matthews, who is a very solid pass blocker. 9th best in the league last season. Had a 75.5 PFF grade. He was a 9.51 RAS coming out. This guy could quite possibly give us some problems. But going against Chaser Montez every snap, he's going to give up some plays. That's just how it is. And just coming at him from every angle like we do from our defensive line, it's going to be tough. But I think him and Lindstrom are the two players on that team that are going to be able to hold up the best against our pass rush. I just don't think they're going to be able to do it all game. Because next to them, they also have Caleb McGarry, who he's a former first-round pick too, but he had a 64.3 PFF grade last season, which is okay. And he was a 9.83 RAS coming out. Like I said, former first rounder, they thought this guy was going to be something, pretty good, but he just hasn't played up to his drafting yet, and I'm not even sure that he makes it into the lineup. Because they brought in 6 rookie offensive linemen, and a couple of them I think have real potential. You got Jalen Mayfield, who some people actually thought Mayfield was worthy of being a late first-round pick. I didn't. I always thought he was around that third round range, and that's where they ended up getting him. So I still think he'd be very serviceable, especially if they flip him to the inside. I mean, he would be a decent right tackle, but if they switch him in the guard, I think, they could have something there. And then center Drew Dahlman, he was at 86.9 PFF grade in college last year, a 9.90 RAS. Really promising looking guy. If he wins over the job over Hennessy, that makes their offensive line look a little tougher and a little more promising. But still, having a couple rookie players on it, it still weakens it, especially at the center position. I think we demolished this offensive line personally. I know they have a couple good pieces in Lindstrom and Matthews, but we just have too many weapons coming at them with our defensive line. And Arthur Smith coming over coaching, the way he coaches, he's going to want to build up the run game, and I really just don't think they have the personnel for it as far as the line goes. Everybody there is pretty good pass defenders or pass blockers, but they're not really, run blocking offensive linemen, and that could lead to a lot of problems in him implementing his game plan. But they're one of the few teams that actually has a fullback still in Keith Smith, and they brought in a punishing type running back, Mike Davis from Carolina, who got a 75.1 last season. So maybe that could be his store brand Derrick Henry, and he could try to put that kind of game plan in motion. But I just don't think they're built for what he typically goes for. They also brought in undrafted rookie Javian Hawkins at running back. Now he's a very shifty scat back, and I mean he could be tough to deal with, depending on how much better we have gotten against the run. And I'm kind of burying the lead there. They brought in Kyle Pitts, 9.66 RAS coming out, 9.62 PFF grade in college. This man is an absolute alien, and he's going to be trouble for any team that goes against him. Where we're kind of lucky is we drafted Jamin Davis, and he was one of the only linebackers that was able to hold his own against Pitt last season. And that makes me pretty confident with the rest of our defense, facing down Kyle Pitts. We have a player that was able to handle him before, and we have everything else around him that we can really limit Kyle Pitts' production, I think. And after Julio leaving, Kyle Pitts is going to be a guy they look to pick up a lot of the stuff that Julio did before. And they also have Hayden Hurst at tight end, who, he's no Kyle Pitts, but he's still a very productive tight end. So those guys are going to be, a major concern for us. Calvin Ridley taking a step up into number 1. He had an 84.9 PFF grade. He's a 4.4 40 kind of guy. I just don't think the step up that's required of him with Julio leaving, he's gonna draw our number 1 now, and I don't think that's great for him. I think William Jackson is really going to be able to have his way and shut him down, and I really think it's a bad game for Calvin Ridley. Russell Gage, another kind of background receiver there, the third guy. He's going to have to take a step up. He had an 8 flat RAS coming out. He managed to get a 7.64 PFF grade last year. And all this you got to think of is with Julio on the field. And with Julio on the field, he gets the double teams. It makes everything a lot easier for the receivers around him, and they don't have that anymore. They do have Kyle Pitts, but I think with, us having Jamin at linebacker and some other stuff, we're going to be able to contain them, and these wide receivers aren't going to be able to have the opportunities they had before. Now, they did pick up a couple rookie wide receivers that I think one of these guys definitely takes Tajay Sharp's place. You had Frank Darby, who was, I mean, he was a good slot guy coming out from, I think it was Arizona State. And then Antonio Nunn from Buffalo. He managed to get an 83.5 PFF grade in college last year. He's kind of like a possession guy, but I really liked Antonio Nunn. But either way, I don't think any of these guys really give us a problem. And after possibly taking a loss versus the Bills, I think our defense is going to wake up and choose violence against Matt Ryan on this day. And Matt Ryan's going to have to pay the price.
Dear God, make me a bird so I can fly far, far, far away from here. Dear God, make me a bird so I can fly far, far, far away.
I see this, even with a couple good pieces in our offensive line, just Ryan's lack of mobility that we will have to have dealt with, the last couple the first three quarterbacks we played were all mobile. Matt Ryan's just going to get beat down, I think, when we come to him. And I see us I think we beat the Falcons in a dominant fashion. I really do. I don't think their defense has pieces. I don't think they can, shut down our offense. I think our offense will score high on them. And I think, like the focus of this video, the defense just dominates the Falcons, in my opinion. That's the way I see it happening. Then we're on to week 5 against the Saints for the first year in a long time without Drew Brees. Now, the Saints do have a very lauded offensive line. They have Eric McCoy at center. He's pretty good center. He had a 70.1 PFF grade last season. He was at 8.97. For as lauded as their offensive line is, though, I would think, maybe he could be a little better than that. And then they got Cesar Ruiz, who's coming off a horrible season. Now, he's a former first rounder, but last season he had a 58.6 PFF grade. He was a 9.07 RAS coming out. He hasn't played up to his potential, as a first rounder at all. And I mean, he's a decent piece of this offensive line, but kind of look at him as one of the weak links. Then you got Andrews Pete, who was a 8.54 RAS coming out, another first rounder. This is a guy that's been a 3-time Pro Bowler, but he's coming off of a really down year for him. PFF only graded a 61.2. And if we get that, kind of performance out of those two, I think it really votes well for our interior pressure. If the center's playing down at the level he's playing last season and Pete's playing down at that, then, Payne and Allen or Ioannidis, whoever's in, they're going to get home a lot. They're going to get in Jameis Winston's face, and they're going to cause a lot of the same mistakes that he's, made in all of his time in Tampa Bay. I think we can really dominate with interior pressure because we're going to have to. Because Teron Armstead, that tackle, 3-time Pro Bowler, PFF had him as an 86.3 last season, 9.58 RAS coming out. This guy's one of the best left tackles in the league. And I think he could give Chase or Sweat problems, like serious problems. We'll have to get out there early and figure out, does he handle Chase's strength better or Montez's speed better? And, put the guy on him that he has the most problem with. And on the other side, Ryan Ramczyk, 8.15 PFF grade last season. He's been number 1 or number 2 All-Pro 3 out of the 4, like first team or second team All-Pro 3 out of his first 4 years. Now, this guy could definitely be a problem, and I think we're really going to have to bring the heat against him. They have very good bookends, but we're built strongly all the way across the defensive line, and I think interior pressure is where we're going to be able to get home on Jameis Winston. They've got Alvin Kamara, who 82.2 PFF grade, 8.08 RES. This guy's always dangerous. He's always productive. Pass catching, rushing out of the backfield. Alvin Kamara is a dangerous weapon. But hopefully we'll have seen if we can handle that. I know that at least from training against Antonio and now Curtis Samuel and J.D. McKissick, our team will be used to seeing a great pass catcher out of the backfield, but we'll get to see in practice how we do against Alvin Kamara. Adam Troutman at tight end. This is a guy that a lot of us liked in the draft. I know a lot of Washington fans really liked Adam Troutman and wanted him to be on this team. He managed to garner a 79.4 PFF grade. He had an 8.75 RES coming out. Now, he was used very limited last season for them. He only had 16 targets, but he caught 15 of them. He has the potential. We're going to have to be wary of this guy, but another situation where we got to look towards Jameis or Khalik or Cameron Curl to get the job done. And then the always dangerous Michael Thomas at wide receiver. 85.2 PFF grade, 9.12 RAS. Like I said, this guy's always a threat. But he is matched well by Willie Jack Part 3. William Jackson matches up pretty good. And honestly, he's pretty lonely in this wide receiver core. Like, I think it's a worse situation than what Terry has had so far. Now he is like the only guy, the only strong downfield target, and we're going to be able to double him up because we're not going to have to worry about, anybody else. And even as good as his offensive line is, I can see a lot of sacks just from coverage, just from Jameis not having anywhere to go with the ball. And with Jameis being a probable starter, I just don't like the Saints' chances. I know a lot of people have found this new confidence in Jameis from sitting behind Drew Brees for a season or being coached up by Sean Payton. But I don't think he's going to be improved enough to lead this team anywhere. And even with some of the best offensive linemen in the league, I just think we're going to get a ton of pressure in Jameis's face. And it's going to be a bad game for him. He's going to revert back to making a lot of bad decisions that we're going to take advantage of. And I think we're going to roll right through the Saints. And I think it'll be bad enough that a lot of New Orleans fans are going to start to question, hey, should we have, man, I can't even think of the quarterback now, the other running quarterback they have. Should he be in, or is Jameis really the guy? But, yeah, I'm loving our chances as a Washington football team. I think this is going to be a nice little feather in our cap, possibly coming off of a loss against the Bills, coming into Atlanta, and then New Orleans. I didn't even mention if these were home or away. I apologize. But either way, these two games, I think it's going to be a nice stretch for us for, beating some name teams. These guys are definitely diminished from what they once were, but, it's still the Saints, it's still the Falcons, and I think our defense just dominates both of them. So that's pretty good because the week after that, we're going to have to deal with the Chiefs. So, but that's for next time. So let me know what you guys think down below. Let me Let me know how you think we match up against these two teams. And, yeah, let me know what you think, how we're going to beat them, if they're going to beat us. And subscribe down below, because, I got the next video coming out is going to be the Chiefs and Green Bay, and those are two huge games. I'm going to talk about how we match up with them, and subscribe so you can come back and see that. And if you like the video, please like the video, comment down below. If you watch this far, I love you guys. Peace.